if you only know how unconscious biases are impacting your life, how they can make you miserable, how they can make you unhappy, sad, unhealthy, you would look for these 8 unconscious biases all the time. You'll be looking for whenever you're expressing them, so you can catch them and change them, so your life can be better, so your experience of life can be the one that you're really looking for. So today I am going to show you, we are going to go in 8 unconscious biases that is impacting your life very bad, and it's very important for you to know them so you can change them. Okay? Because these are the ones that are affecting the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you behave in the world. So let's go ahead and understand them so we can change them, so your life can be better. But first, let us understand, since we are going to talk about unconscious biases, so let us understand what is a bias. A bias So a bias is a preference that you have. It's an assumption that you have about a certain belief. Now, why do biases exist? Why do the brain create biases? The brain creates biases for 2 things. So it can save energy. This energy is called cognitive energy. So that's the first reason the brain creates biases. It's for it to save energy. And the second one is for you to survive. Okay? So the brain can act quickly. Now, in order for the brain to create, you must understand how does the brain creates biases. So we taught you, we said that the brain creates biases for it to save energy, cognitive energy, so you don't have to think all the time about the same thing, and for us to survive, so the brain can make quick decision whenever it's needed, so you don't have to think. Now, how does the brain create biases? How does the brain create what we call assumption? The brain creates assumption or biases in this process. Now, before we understand the process on how the brain creates biases, you must understand how we experience the world. Okay? Now, the brain creates, I'm going to put biases here. The brain creates biases based on our previous experience of life. So based on how we experienced life before, the brain creates biases for future reference. Now, how does the brain create biases? What is the process? Now, we talked about it in a previous video on how the brain take and give meaning to information. Remember, we experience life, we experience reality through our 5 senses. So we experience reality by what we see, by what we hear, what we touch, what we taste. Okay? So this is how we experience reality. Now, these senses provides information to the brain. Now, like I said on a previous video, the informations alone are not useful for the brain. So the brain has to make sense of the information. Okay? So the brain has to provide meaning to the information. So whenever your brain, so let's assume this is your brain, and this is reality. So you experience reality through your 5 senses. Okay? 5 senses. Now, whenever you experience reality through your 5 senses by something you see, for example, the fact alone or reality alone does not have any meaning to the brain unless you assign a meaning to it. So, For example, if you are on the street, on the road, and you see a red light, okay? So the red light alone does not mean anything unless the meaning we assign to it, okay? So the meaning is what the brain saves, the meaning of the fact, okay? So another example would be the words or the way I'm talking to you right now. If you didn't understand the meaning of the word I'm using right now, you wouldn't be able to understand what I'm saying. Okay, so the meaning of the thing is why important. Now, whenever the brain provides meaning, or the brain has the meaning of the information, the brains create patterns. So the brain provides or creates patterns. So let's say that as a kid, every time or everywhere you go, and you see a dog, and you see the dog aggressively, okay? So the dog is barking you all the time. So at this time, your brain attributes the dog as something dangerous. Great. Now, there is something to understand here. We talked about it in previous videos. Whenever an information is entering the subconscious mind, you are not aware of this process. Okay? So you're not going to be aware of when you attribute the meaning that dog are dangerous. But your subconscious mind saved it. Okay? So let's take another example. Let's say that the rich people that you knew, either in your environment, your school, your church, you see them as someone smart. Okay? So you have rich people, they are smart. So that's the meaning you assign to it. Now, every time that you see a rich people or you are thinking about a rich person, you're assuming that they are smart. So this is how the brain creates pattern. Why does the brain does that? Because it can save energy and it can help you survive quickly. Imagine how it would be if every time you see a chair, you have to think about it to see, where would I sit? Is it here? Okay, so the brain automatically knows where to sit on a chair, and it knows automatically that the chair is made for a person to sit down. Okay, so these are how the brain creates pattern, and that is the importance of these patterns. So it can save energy, and also it can help you survive quickly. By survive quickly, I mean it can help you make decision quickly whenever it's needed. So you don't have to think about it. Okay. So let's say this is a threat. So your brain can decide quickly. Now, this is how the brain creates patterns. Okay. And this is done unconsciously. You're not aware on when your brain is creating these patterns. And that is where the trap is. Because you don't know when you created them, and you don't neither know when you are expressing them. Okay, so these 8 unconscious biases I'm going to show you, these are very important for you to know them, to catch them, to change them if you really, really serious about changing your life, because they are affecting your life. They are making you miserable, unhappy. They are making you very unhealthy mentally because you're not even aware of them. Okay, and you're living by them as normal, and they're not normal because they're affecting your life. Now, we know why the brain creates biases. We know how the brain create biases, and some of them are good for you to make decision, but some of them are also bad. Okay, and these are the one I'm gonna show you today. These are the biases I'm gonna show you today. So we are going to start we are going to start with the first biases. The first bias is called confirmation bias. Now, what is a confirmation bias? And why is it bad for you? A confirmation bias is a belief you have, is a tendency you have of looking for information or looking for belief that contributes or that can help you to stay safe. Now, the brain does not want to be incorrect. The brain is always trying to make you safe. Okay? So the confirmation bias is a bias that people have or a tendency that people have to look for information that confirm the belief or the identity that they already have. Okay? So let's say you believe that a certain diet is good. Okay? That a certain diet with pineapple and carrots and things like that is very good. So you have this tendency of anywhere you see an article, anywhere you see a video, anywhere you see a book talking about this diet, you have this tendency of thinking that this information is correct. Okay? And you will not be accepted by any other information. Okay? So you will reject any other information that do not contribute to the belief that you have. Okay? So let's say that you have a certain belief that poor people are ugly, for example. Okay? So you always have this tendency of confirming this information. Okay? By denying any other information that reject this belief that you have. Okay? That is confirmation bias. And why is it bad for you? That is bad for you because you always try to confirm information, belief, attitude, habits that you currently have. And these are the ones that are keeping you where you are right now. So if you're trying to make sense of them, if you're trying to save them, you'll always be in the same place you are right now. Okay? Because you always try to confirm the knowledge, the habits, the attitudes that you have right now. You're always trying to make sense of them. You're always trying to look for information that confirm that this belief that you have is normal. Okay? So let's say another example so we can be done by that. Let's say that you have this belief of creating wealth is very hard and it takes a long time. So you always look for information that confirms that. So you can say, yeah, that's true. You see what I'm saying? So wealth is very hard to make. Hear what it says. So you always look for books, for videos, for articles, for people, for persons that are confirming the thing you know. And remember, the thing you know, the thing you believe, the way you feel, the way you act right now, if you're trying to conserve them, if you're trying to keep them, to stay with them, you're going to stay where you are and you're not going to move forward. Okay? So be very aware of this bias. Now we have another bias. It's called attribution bias. Now this is a very hard. This is a very. It's very hard for people to be aware of it, and a lot of people use it without even knowing that. Attribution bias. Attribution bias is a tendency that you have of attributing of relying to something external as the cause of your reality. Okay? So the thing or the mistake that you made, you're always trying to attribute them to someone else, to something else. And the mistake other people made, you're trying to make them feel bad about it. Okay? So the attribution bias is It's very important for you to catch in your life, because this is where you're always trying to blame someone, to blame something as the cause of the consequences you have in your life right now. Okay? So if you don't have any money right now, you have this tendency of accusing someone, of accusing the boss, of accusing your job, of accusing your father, of accusing your family. Okay? If you're late in your job, or if you're late somewhere you have to go, you're accusing the traffic as the main cause that made you late. Okay? So you have this tendency of always accusing someone of something. Okay? And this is a bias that you have to be aware of. Okay? Because since if you're always attributing the cause of your mistakes to someone or to something else, you'll always be stuck where you are, because you're not going to move forward. You're not taking the responsibility of your mistake, of the thing you've done wrong. Okay? So it's very important for you to understand the second bias, which is the attribution bias. And the same attribution bias, we've also seen it in the Bible, which is a book that most of you have read. Okay, so in the Bible, in Genesis, I think you can see that Adam, when Adam ate the fruits that Eve offered them, he was accusing Eve of the reason that he ate the fruits. Okay, instead of accusing himself as he chose to eat the fruit. Okay, so these are way of behavior. These are way that you behave in life that are not going to help you to go anywhere. Okay, if you're always trying to blame someone, blame something as the cause of your mistake. So now let's go to the third bias. Now, the third and the fourth bias, they are always similar. Okay, they are always similar, and we're gonna go to that. The third one is a hello bias. Now, what is a hello bias? The hello bias is a tendency that people have of assuming that if the person has one good trait, or if a person has one good quality, that this person is a good person. So everything that this person is going to do is going to be a good thing, is going to be a great thing. So this is this tendency that people have. So if I see, for example, that Mark is a smart person, so I see this quality on him, so I assume that Mark as well is also a kind person, that Mark as well is also a wealthy person. So I automatically assume, since I was able to identify only one quality that is good in Mark, so I assume that Mark is a good person. Now, this is something that you have to be very aware of it, because whenever you're not aware of that, you are assuming things about people. And this is a big mistake that you always try to don't make that mistake. Assuming things about people. Good way to know what is the type of person that a person is by their action, by the way they behave. So if you want to know if Mark is a smart person, you must look at the ways Mark behave. Not because Mark is a kind person and you assume automatically Mark also is a smart person. So whenever you do that in life, by one quality, you assuming that this person is a good person, you can make a very big mistake in life. Okay? Because people are going to disappoint you. One way to identify what is the type of person you have in front of you is by the way they act, the way they behave. So be aware of this, which is a tendency that people have of assuming that a person is a good person, is a great person by just one quality. Okay? So the fourth one, like I said, is kind of similar to this one, and it's called horn bias. Now, What is the horn bias? Horn bias is this tendency that people have whenever they find one quality in a person that is bad, or one behavior on a person that is bad. And then they assume that this person is a bad person. And anything that these people do, anything that any time that behave a certain way, they are bad, they are behaving very bad. Okay? So by one action or by one thing they see in this person, they assume this person is a bad person. Okay? So you have to be very aware of that. It's always the same as the halo bias. Okay? Because the halo bias is similar to the horn bias as well. Okay? So be very aware of that on how you are assuming people to be. Don't assume people to be a certain way. Observe the way people act. Observe the way people behave. Okay? So don't fall in the trap of assuming how people are. Now the fifth one here is a bias, and we call it the gender bias. Now, the gender bias is a bias that people have, or is a tendency that people have of assuming that some things in life are made for men and some things in life are made for women. Remember, we talked about how a bias is created. A bias is created by the brain whenever the thing is repeating itself. So if you're hearing something over and over and over and over and over, you assume that this thing is true. If you're seeing something over and over and over, you will assume that this thing is true. Okay? So people on the childhood in the society that they are living, with their friends and family, they hear things and they see things, and they assume that there are some type of things that are specifically made for men and some type of thing that are specifically made for women. And remember that anything that you assume as true, this is the thing that you're going to be living. Neural knowledge, you can go ahead and watch his videos on YouTube. His channel is named Neural Knowledge. Neural knowledge said there is no truth in reality unless the one that your subconscious mind assumes as true. Nothing is true unless only the one that you assume that is true. If you assume that certain type of work is only made for women, you will not do it. If you assume that a certain type of work is only made for men, you would not do it. Okay? So be very aware of how you are categorizing things in life. How you could have taken opportunity in life to do something better with your life, and you categorize that as something that only men can do. Or you categorize it as something that women can do. And you lost that opportunity for you to be a better person, to have a better life. Okay? So be aware of this bias. The sixth one is called age bias. Now, this is a bias, or this is a tendency that people have of attributing certain things that people can do at a certain age. Like we talked earlier on this video, we've talked on how bias is created. So if you're hearing over and over, you're seeing over and over that there are certain things that you can do in life at a certain age, so you're assuming that this is only when you can do this certain thing. Okay? So if you're hearing, for example, that an old person is not good in technology, you're assuming that you cannot do this work. You cannot be better. You cannot do this thing. Okay? Because you're assuming that this is how it is. And since you're assuming this is how it is, like we taught here, that is going to be true for you. Because this is what you believe as true. Because anything that you believe as true in your subconscious mind, this is what you are going to believe. Okay, this is the way you're going to live your life. Okay, so be very aware of how you are categorizing things as I am very young. I cannot have this amount of money. I cannot deal with it. I'm very young. I'm 18 years old. I cannot do that. You have to be very aware of how you are categorizing things in life. Okay? Because you're gonna miss opportunity. You're gonna lost a thing you could have done and be better and have a better life. So go ahead and be aware of that one. Okay? And I'm missing two here that are very, very, very important. And I think they are the most important one. And most people are not aware of them. The same as these. Okay? So the two remaining one, we are going to go with it. So we have confirmation, attribution, we have halo bias, horn bias, gender, and age bias. So let's go here. You can take notes and leave it in the comment. But let's go to the two remaining one. I have to erase the board because there's no enough space. Okay, so the 7 bias, it's called affinity bias. Okay, so the affinity bias is a tendency that people have of related to someone or to a person that shared the same background or that share the same experience as them. Let me give an example. If you go to a place and you see two people, one speak the same language as you and the other one speak another one with a very weird accent, which one you gonna go with? You're gonna go with the one that speak the same language as you, right? If you go somewhere, you see someone that goes on the same school as you, the same university as you, that study the same career as you, you have this tendency of going to this person. Why? This is because the brain the brain loves to be around things that are familiar to it. Okay? So you always try to be in the same area as people who share the same background with you, people who believe the same thing as you, people who do the same thing as you, and people who like you. Okay? So this is a tendency that people have. Now, why is this bias is very bad for it? And like I said, these two, so we have this one and the other one, they are very, very, very important for you to know. Now, the affinity bias, like we said, this tendency of be around people that are the same people that believe the same thing as you, people that do the same thing. Eh? The problem with that is because these type of people, if you're trying to be around them all the time, you're gonna stuck where you are always. Okay? So if you're trying to be around people that believe the same thing as you, that do the same thing as you, you'll always be stuck where you are. So if you want to move forward, to have a better life, to change your life, do something better, do something meaningful, you have to go ahead and search people and find people that are doing something different, that believe something different, something better that can help you. Okay? So we always have this tendency of looking for people that are the same as us, that has the same background, that went to the same university, that studied the same thing. Okay? So go ahead and be aware of that, because if you always want to be around people that are the same as you, you'll be stuck. Can't move like that. Okay? So that's very important for you to know. Go ahead and find people that are doing something better. Find people that are doing something meaningful in life. Find successful people and be around them. Be around them. Believe what they believe. Do what they do so your life can be better. Okay? Because remember, like I said earlier on this video, you're not aware on when the subconscious mind is accepting or is saving, storing information. You're not aware of this process. One good way for you to observe information, to observe belief that are going to help you in life is to put yourself in this environment. Put yourself in an environment where your subconscious mind will go ahead and absorb information, absorb belief, because you're not going to be aware on when it's going to store it. Okay? So a smart way to do that is put yourself in an environment where people are smart, where people are successful. Okay? So this is the affinity bias. The last one is it's kind of controversial. It's called this tendency of people have. It's called the group. Now, this is the last one we have. And this is very important because our brain does that all the time. The group bias is a tendency that people have whenever they are in a team, whenever they are in a group, whenever they are in a society. They do most of the time the same thing that the group is doing. Okay? That the team is doing. They might have another belief. They could have behaved differently. But since the group is behaving that way, they are also behaving that way. Okay? So they behave that way so they can reject or they can try to not stand out. They're trying to accommodate themselves in the team. They are trying, like people say, to go with the flow. Okay? And why does the brain does that? Because the brain wants you to be safe. Okay? So you have to be aware on when you are expressing this bias, which is a group bias, which is any time or the tendency that you have of doing the thing that people around you are doing. Okay? It's the tendency that I have to do the same thing that Mark is doing. Now, you might be asking, why is this bad? It is bad because where you are right now, people that are around you, they are not the one that can make you succeed. If they were, you'll be successful already. So if you're doing the same thing that they are doing, you'll be stuck here with them. Okay? So be aware of the decision that you're making in life. Be aware of the thing you do. Make sure and analyze to see if this is decision that you're making at a certain period of time. Is the decision yours? Okay? So try to not be too accommodating with a group. Because the person that are around you right now, if what they were doing was successful, you'll be successful by now. So go ahead and be aware of that. Okay? So be aware and understand that. And these two, like I said, they're very important, especially that one. Okay? So let's say that people that are, you're trying to be successful. You're trying to have a better life. You're trying to do something meaningful. You're trying to do something better. Okay? So you're trying to have a financial freedom. And people, and the person that are around you, they are broke people. They are poor people. If you're trying to do the same thing that they are doing, you'll be poor. There's no way around it. Now, by around you, most people think I am referring to people that are living in your neighborhood or something. I'm not specifically referring to that. I am also referring to people that you are following on social media, people that you have in your church, friends you have in your school, friends you have in your college, your university, your colleagues. These are people I'm referring to, people that are in your environment. Don't do what they do if the results you want, they don't have it. Okay? Because you're not going to get the results if you do the same thing they do, if you believe the same thing that they believe. If the people that are around you believe that create wealth is hard, And you also trying to go with them whenever they're trying to discuss something, and they go like that. Man, let me tell you, the other day I tried that. It was very hard. I don't think I'm gonna make it. It's, you see that this business I started, it's well important. People are not buying, man. Life is hard. Can tell you. People are not buying. I tried to do this, it's not working. I think I'm gonna give up. Now, if you're listening to these people complaining all the time, you're not gonna move forward. Okay? So don't do what the group does. Go ahead and do something different that can help you. Okay? So these are the 8. I had 7. I raised them. So these are the 8 biases. And they are not only biases, remember, they are unconscious biases that are keeping you where you are right now. So you can't move, you can't do something good, you can't make your life better because of them. Catch them, change them, and behave differently because they are unconscious. Observe yourself. See the way you behave. Study yourself. Okay? Observe yourself. And that is called self-observation. Observe yourself. Observe the way you do things, why you do them, so you can catch them because they are unconscious. You get them unconsciously, and you will express them unconsciously. Catch them.